My name's Camilla Gooden. Um, Married to Paul Gooden, had 3 children, now have 4. Um, and Rex was our youngest out of 3 children, and he was a really healthy, vivacious, cheeky little boy, nearly 2, and picture of good health, literally. Only been to the doctors for routine vaccinations. It was my older son that was prone to colds and coughs and going on antibiotics. And the week Rex passed away, no, nothing out of the ordinary at all. But my older son was feeling poorly, and I picked him up from school, from nursery early, and he was pretty much under the weather with the virus. And Rex came down on the Friday night. Actually, not even with a slight temperature. I mean, just hot and bothered, really, in the middle of the night. So we brought him downstairs. He was really beside himself, crying, which was unusual for him, but I suppose not really for toddlers. But he wouldn't sit still until both of us, Paul and I, were with him. In the end, we found comfort just literally lying on the sofa with his arms wrapped around us. And we've never done that with any of the kids. So the poignance, looking back on that time together, is quite extraordinary, really. And then the next morning, busy household, people had to get to ballet, but my older son was still a bit poorly, so I rang the out-of-hours doctor. It was a Saturday, and Rex was on my lap, and I said, I think the younger one might be coming down with it as well, because he was up in the night, just restless, but he hasn't got a temperature. And she said, well, we'll see the older one, but just let us know how you get on with the little one, but there's no point bringing him in now. So I went to take the older one to the doctors, and meanwhile my husband put Rex to bed. He'd been jumping off the sofa pretending to be Buzz Lightyear 2 minutes before, so he was absolutely fine. And we were sort of met with every parent's worst nightmare, where he didn't wake up from his lunchtime sleep, and we had no answers. And then we were rushed to hospital to be with him. They found no vital signs at all. My other son, still poorly, was put on a drip for antibiotics because we just didn't know what was going on. And then 2 days later, my daughter was also taken in. So I just thought, what's happening? All of them are going to go. But the medical staff were amazing at Farnborough. And they did warn us. He said, sometimes these things happen. You might not get any answers. Nothing has come up at all with what's wrong with him. And that was it, really. Complete shock. No man's land. Didn't know what happened. One minute you've got a healthy little boy running around, the next minute he's gone. My daughter was with my mum and my sisters, and my son was in hospital. We had to bring him, because he was at home, we had to bring him to hospital. I think he was 4 at the time, and an uncle came to look after him, and he had a temperature, so they were sort of monitoring him. And then we were all discharged later that evening. Obviously, we had to leave Rex there. Didn't sleep a wink for days. Total shock. I haven't got a bad word to say about the service that the hospital gave us. We were allowed access to see Rex in a chapel of rest. The lady would come in specially so that I could visit him and read him bedtime stories. But there was nothing for us, no counselling service for the parents or for the other children at this point. And we did have to go and see our GP the next day, who was fantastic. But we weren't really offered any support at all. It was up to getting in touch with the charity, the Lullaby Trust, who helped us through the initial days. But with the Lullaby Trust, they look after parents who've had children die of SIDS, which is under 12 months, and it didn't really resonate with us. So they put us in contact with a charity called the SUDC Foundation in America, and that's when we felt we're finally being supported. Other people had gone through the same thing we'd gone through. I think that time I had, those 3 days of being able to go back to the hospital and read him his favourite stories and touch him. I couldn't physically hold him, but I could touch him and spend as much time as I wanted with him. That was a nice, it helped me a lot. I mean, I would have liked to have been able to see him after his post-mortem, but that wasn't to be. But when I look back at who I was then, I know even then I needed to find something positive in it. I wanted to do something positive, because I think I would have just stayed in bed all the whole time and just cried. Now I think it doesn't get, it's different. It's like a wave. It's like there's waves, there's constant ebbs and flows, and it's a journey. And some days are good, some days are bad. And I mean, for example, the other day I was having a really bad morning, and I had been crying, and my daughter said, "Mummy, are you all right?" And I said, "I'm just having a bad day. Don't worry about it. I'm having a bad day." She said to me, "Yeah, but you don't always have bad days, Mummy. So that means tomorrow will be a better day." And it was so true that, after a bad period, always a good period's going to come, and you've just got to expect good, bad, good, bad, good, bad for forever. Unfortunately, your life is changed forever. It's just learning to live a new life, I suppose. And I think reading audio books, and this quote has helped me beyond measure, actually. And it's if I can remember it correctly, we are eternal beings having a temporary human experience. So that's implying that we're never really born and we never really die. We're just having this temporary experience, which helps me believe that I was with Rex before this life and I'm going to be with him again afterwards. And I've got to make the most of this life and do something good. And it's an opportunity. It's horrendous, but I can make something good out of it at the end of the day. I'm hoping. But that's true. That saying, I think it was Wayne Dyer. Have you read any of his things? He doesn't live. He's not alive anymore. But when I read that, it just all fell into place. I had Rex's chart read, and it said, without doubt, he was to have a short, impactful life that was coming to trigger change. And again, I just clung on to that to think, okay, he was never going to grow up. Don't get upset when I see. The fact that he's going to school should have been going to school in September, and all the other little boys are going to go on stage and do their bits, and Rex could have been there. No, that's not what he was here to do. He was here to trigger change. So you have to think completely differently. You have to change the way you think.